and welcome to Data Detectives. Today we are going to see another scenario based question in Power BI related to calculation of top and categories based on some aggregation values. So in the previous videos we have used the filters and we have used the rank x function, but in Power BI we also have a top n function which can be directly used to calculate the top n categories or subcategories based on some aggregation value. So top n is usually used with the calculate function, which is also a very strong function available in our DAX. Okay, so with the help of top n and calculate, we will be calculating the top 5 subcategories on the basis of total sales. So this is our problem statement that is available with us, that is we have to calculate top 5 subcategories on the basis of total sales, and here we will be using top n function and the calculate function for our purpose. Okay, so if you haven't seen the previous videos in this series, first go check out those videos because it will help you to understand the data set and what type of analysis or what type of formulas we have used till this point, so as to understand this third scenario as well. Okay, so let me just give you the steps we are going to follow to calculate this. So step 1 will be always same, that is we will create a measure that will give us total sales. So we have already calculated this, we have already created a measure of total sales. You can check out the first video in this series to check how we have created the total sales measure. Second step will be using the calculate function and top n function for calculating top 5 subcategories. And once we have calculated this using calculate and top n, then we will modify this DAX formula to make it dynamic, that is on our selection from the slicer the value of top n should change from 1 to 10, that is it should show top 1, top 2 up to top n subcategories based on total sales. Okay, so these 3 steps we will going to see, but before that let's try to first understand what are calculate functions, what is top n function, and what is value function that we will be going to use. Okay, first let's see some of the definitions so that it will be much more clear. So first of all, let's understand what is a calculate function. So calculate function is a very powerful DAX function. It is used at multiple areas and it modifies the context in which the formula is evaluated. It allows you to change the filter context and manipulate your row context. Okay, so we will see how it will be applied when we will use this in the top n calculation. Then we have top n function. So the function of this is to retrieve, or you can say to get the n, or you can say the top categories on the expression or value that you give. Okay, it will be used for that. And then we will be using one more function, which is the values function. So value function will be used to restrict the calculation to only those subcategories or categories that are present in the current filter context. That is, it will be used to restrict, let me just write this as well, values function will be used to restrict the calculation, that will calculate using the calculate function to only those subcategories, because we are using subcategories here to calculate the top n values that are present in the current filter context, and our current filter context will be decided by the top n, so that we can ensure that measure is calculated for only those subcategories, that is for these categories. Okay, so as we have understood what is the meaning of all these functions, now let's see its application as well. So first let's see what are all the categories that are available with us, that is the subcategories, and what are their total sales. So these are all subcategories, and from these total subcategories we only want top 5 subcategories. Okay, so for that purpose we will be creating a new measure, and we will name that new measure as top 5 sales. Okay, now we will start our formula using calculate. So if you see the meaning of calculate, it evaluates an expression in the context modified by the filters. So in this we will be evaluating this expression, and we will be changing the context or modifying the context on the basis of the filters that we will provide. So the filters we will provide will through the top n. So the expression that we want to calculate is the total sales. So we will write here total sales. Okay, let me just arrange this correctly. Okay, so total sales, after that we have to provide the filters. So for filter we will be using top n function, and now in top n we have to give the n value. So we will be calculating top 5, so top 5 will be the n value. Now we have to give the table or the column, so we will use all. So all is used so that any other filters that has been applied can be removed. So here we will be using subcategory. Okay, now we want to order by which value? By total sales value. So we are ordering our top n with sales value, and how we want to order in the descending. So we will select descending. Okay, so we will close this top n and we will move. Now the second filter that we want to apply is the values filter. So we will write values, and we all understood that values is used to restrict the calculation only to those subcategories that are present in current filter context. Okay, so here values will be fixed to only those subcategories that we want to calculate. So this is our overall function. First of all, we have used the calculate function. So it will calculate the total sales on the basis of filters that we have provided, and the filters that we are providing is top n. So it will give us the top 5 values, and on these top 5 values it will take the values of only those subcategories which lie in this top 5 categories. Okay, so let's run this, and now let's see the output, whether we are able to get our desirable output or not. Let's see whether we get our desired output or not. So let's copy paste this, and we will keep subcategories as it is, and here we will add a new measure that we have created, that is top 5 sales. Now let's see whether we can get our desired output or not. Here you can see that we are getting the top 5 subcategories. If you want to see in the descending order of the sales, you can click here, and now you can see that we are getting the top 5 subcategories on the basis of sales, that is phones, chairs, storage, tables and binders. Similarly, if you want to calculate top 3, you can replace the 5 value with the 3 in our DAX formula. But now one extension that I want to give you is that suppose if you want to make this dynamic, that is based on our selection, the value or the top categories should change. So what we will do this, or how we will do this, is that we will select a slicer, and we have already created a slicer using the parameters. So you can see how we have created this slicer in the previous video, that is video number 2 in this series. The link is in description. Also you will be getting the notification as well. So if I select here parameter that I have already created, let's close this and let's add the data here, and we want to add the parameter. So here we are getting sales from 1 to 10. Okay, but by changing this slicer we are not getting any changes in this table because we haven't used this measure in this formula. So what we will do is that we will modify our formula, and instead of choosing a static value that is 5, here we will give the parameter value, and this is the only change we need to do so that to make our top n values dynamic. So let's again run this and let's see whether we are getting our desirable output or not. So let's close this. And here you can see that if we are selecting parameters 3, you are getting the top 3 subcategories. If you want to change this visual, you can change this visual also. Let's make it a bar chart so that we get a better representation, or we can choose a column chart as well. So let's select a column chart instead, like this. Okay, this is the column chart that we are able to see, and here we are seeing only 3 top subcategories. Now if we change it to 5, you can see that this graph will change to 5 top subcategories. Similarly, if you want to see the top 9, you can see the top 9 subcategories as well. You can verify this visual with this overall table. So with this we have used the top n and the calculate function to get the top n subcategories on the basis of our total sales. Thank you.